What's going on? Today, we're starting a series that I'm calling Movement of the Great. Okay? So, I will be using dancers. Hopefully, I can find some dancers that are not like celebrities, but I'm using dancers that most people know, and I'm breaking down how it is that they dance and why they are great at dancing so we can get like a vocabulary on why they are great dancers. In general, the whole point of this is to kind of break down, well, in general, great dancers are people who have connected two things, their dancing and who they are as a person, so that you see their identity when they're dancing, which is kind of how Behind Dance was created to begin with. Um, so 10 years later, here we are. I've had this idea for a while, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, my name is Joel Casanova. I'm the creator and founder of Beat Hunter Dance, and this talk show exists to help your dance journey be healthy, productive, and 100% yours. So, as a disclaimer, before I go into anything else, it's important to differentiate inspiration from imitation. I'm not showing these so that you can be like, hey, this is a great dancer, be like them. Because they already exist, right? They already are doing their dancing in a way that is very evident that they're combining their identity with their dancing. Um, so the idea is not to imitate these people at all. This is to get inspiration and gain vocabulary on why it is that this person is great instead of like, that was a great dance and moving on. Like as dancers, we should be thinking intentionally and we should be thinking um, in a way that is deeper than the surface level. Right? Anyone who doesn't dance or someone who doesn't know the inner workings of dance can just be like, that's great. And so as dancers, we should be able to go at least one layer deeper, if not several layers deeper of why. Right? We should have words to be able to say, this is why I like this. This is why this is good dancing. And then that helps us have like a reference point for our dancing. Like I'm trying to emulate storytelling or emotion, expression, musicality, um, personalization to myself, my life experiences, which you're going to see all of in this video, so that we can continue refining our dance journey so that it matures as we move forward. So, enough talking. Let's get into this video. This is Phillip Chbeeb. Okay, so before we get into this video, I want to say that this video is perfect for breaking down the wall between complexity and emotion. And I'll get into that more later, but just the basic idea is that a lot of times we separate the complexity of dance, like the technique it requires to do something very hard, do something very precise, from the like being carried by the winds of emotion on the other side of the wall, where we're just like not doing anything necessarily complex, but you can tell that we as a dancer or you as a performer are being impacted by the emotion. And Phillip Chbeeb, the dancer in this video, is complex at all levels. Like from his mindset to his movement, he screams complexity. And then he connects it to the emotion because this video is dedicated to his grandmother passing away. I'll read the description at the end of the video. But when you combine those two things, you get the best of both worlds and you have an effect that is twice as powerful because you're not just seeing the beauty of the art, but you're seeing the emotion of the person. So that's what this whole talk show is about, combining the person and the dancer. And you'll see how he does that in a second. So without further ado.
Oh girl, this boat is sinking. There's no sea left for me. And how the sky gets heavy when you are underneath it. Oh, I want to sail away from here.
Okay, first that arm thing he did on the ground. I've watched that like 6 different times when reviewing this video. But notice the emotion that's happening here from the verse. It's very ethereal, and he's about to go into the rap verse, and it's very staccato, and see how his body changes it. This is like a master class in combining musicality with and diversity with emotion. He'll even like connect specific facial expressions to things that he's doing in a second. Breathe.
And God,
Is that leg?
he came down, 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 down. And
Okay, hold on. Let me go back to that real quick. He breathes, right? And if you notice, he slides. His left leg doesn't touch the ground. The body control is crazy.
And God,
Slide, goes through,
he came down, 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 down.
and then he reverses it. Watch.
And sat down, 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 down.
Switch to staccato. His body control changes based off what he's doing. That's an example of diversity, and which is the application of his musicality. Watch.
You rolled up, asked him what he was sipping on. Said lean. You wanna hit it, dog? That's the same stuff Wheezy sipping, huh? And tons of other rappers that be spitting hard. Yeah, he had 5 a bone. And when I passed him that styrofoam, the Easter pink heard it rhyme before I finally got to see what all the hype was on. And then
Okay, like the smoothness he goes through when he does like styrofoam, then he goes and he has the isolations from here. Watch.
styrofoam, the Easter pink heard it rhyme before I finally got to see what all the hype was on. And then he took a sip, sitting in the Lincoln, thinking he was pippin' as he listened to the system. Little did he know that it was just
Took a sip as he was sitting in the Lincoln, right? Watch how he continues moving his standing leg so that he continues the movement that he's saying verbally. Watch.
took a sip, sitting in the Lincoln, thinking he was pippin' as he listened to the system. Little did he know that it was just as addictive as bass, not the kind of hit from the kick drum. Hot box, let the bass bump, take it to the face, go. Months later, the use.
Okay, we're gonna continue in a second, but watch this thing when he gets down here, right? The Lincoln moves down from the kick drum. Stillness is just as much part of dancing as movement. So when he's like goom, 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 like he could do, you've just seen him do massively complex things, like really crazy, intricate stuff. You can watch this video like 6 different times and see something different every time. But when he hits this, he's choosing the stillness between that. That's part of diversity, which is sequencing your movement, right? So he has the musicality to do all these things. He stops himself because he's saying pause, 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 pause. He's inserting pauses into the sequence of movement, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 with his arm and his leg going different directions. So he's using different parts of his body and then stopping it. Use these vocabulary words when you're growing in what you're doing. Regardless of what style it is, regardless of whether it's in a style at all, when you're dancing, hit pauses or continue moving, right? So when he was on his one leg right here, when he goes sipping in the Lincoln, right? He continues moving his arm and his foot so that he continues the movement. He could have just stopped. He didn't. But then when he hits that bass drum, and he says kick drum, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So the insertion of pauses is also important.
See what all the hype was on, and then he took a sip, sitting in the Lincoln, thinking he was pimping as he listened to the system. Little did he know that it was just as addictive as bass, not the kind of hit from the
Pauses.
kick drum. Hot box, let the bass bump, take it to the face, go. Months later, the use went up, and every blunt was accompanied by the pink stuff. But goddamn, glove that.
This right here, again, complexity, right? Phillip Chbeeb had this whole series on his social media of using random objects in like books and fruit and cups and pieces of paper, pens, random stuff that he would just create choreography with. And this is an example of something that shows how his mind thinks. Watch with a cup.
Feeling purple rain coated in the throat, just so healing. Medicine alleviate the sickness, liquid to fix them, it comes with the cost. Wake up, cold sweat, scratching, itching, trying to escape the skin that barely.
Okay, love what he did with the cup, crazy. But notice that he combines his facial expressions and the twitching that he does to the music. So he's not just doing things from the neck down. His face then comes and becomes the addict that he's portraying in this story. Right? Combines the prop with the music. He doesn't just do it randomly. And then he throws the prop away in an expression of emotion, then uses that as a ramp into the twitching that he describes in the verse.
Purple rain coated in the throat, just so healing. Medicine alleviate the sickness. Liquid to fix them, it comes with the cost. Wake up, cold sweat, scratching, itching. Try to escape the skin that barely fit him. Gone, get another bottle just to...
They barely fit him. Boom, boom. Right? He's twitching. He slows down when he gets to his neck. And he goes, click, click. Right?
Cold sweat, scratching, itching. Try to escape the skin that barely fit him. Gone, get another bottle just to get a couple swallows. Headed towards the bottom, couldn't get off it. Didn't even think he had a problem, though we couldn't...
Okay, once again, the pauses. The pauses are crazy, right? He gets this cup. Da, 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 da. It's a constant twitch. He slows down when he gets to his neck. He's like showing the emotion of like his skin that barely fit him, is what he says in the verse. And then he goes, hit, hit. Once he goes, hit, hit, his movement never stops. He continues and goes, da, 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 da.
Medicine alleviate the sickness. Liquid to fix them, it comes with the cost. Wake up, cold sweat, scratching, itching. Try to escape the skin that barely fit him. Gone, get another bottle just to get a couple swallows. Headed towards the bottom, couldn't get off it. Didn't even think he had a problem, though we couldn't sleep without getting nauseous. Room spinning, thinking he might have sipped just a little bit too much of that cough syrup. His eyelids closed shut, sat back in the chair clutching that.
And that once again is just another example of him combining the change of his emotional the change of his emotions on his face combined with his body language as he's feeling himself deteriorating. He also says sitting in a chair, or he sits in the chair, and he has a chair as a prop that he hasn't used until just now.
Too much of that cough syrup. His eyelids closed shut, sat back in the chair clutching that cup. Girlfriend came in a couple hours later, said his name shook him, but he never got up. Never got up, never got up. We live on the cusp of death, thinking that it won't be us. It won't be us. It won't be us. It won't be us. Nah, it won't be us.
Okay, so credits. Okay. Dedicated to my Nana. So this is a story of his grandmother. This is years ago, 13 years ago. Crazy, right? So he's probably even better than what the skill level he was in this video. So dedicated to my grandmother who passed away from lung cancer due to years of cigarette smoking. A drug consumed my grandmother's life, isolating her from those that loved her and promising her temporary fixes to her insecurities and fears. A distraction that consumed her and led her barreling towards a fate far more painful than death. An old age met without memories of the goodness and beauty of life. So the complexity that he added in this video, again, I highly suggest you watch it. I'll include the link in the description below. It's in the show notes. But as you're watching it, realize that this is a personal story for him. Right, in the actual song he's using the concept of lean, which is like a drink, right? It's like of lean. Don't worry about it. So the idea is more about drinking. It's more about alcoholism or about like codeine, essentially, right? So as he's showing someone getting addicted, he's paralleling it to cigarette smoke, right? She was a smoker. He didn't put that in there, but that's not the point. The emotion is that he's not mourning someone. He is mourning someone outside the dance, but inside the dance he is the person being addicted, and showing that it's like he's like hey, this guy came up to me, I got this first thing, then he's like thought it was so cool because I was doing this stuff in my car and I realized like I can't even go to sleep without having this stuff in my system. And then I finally sit in the chair with my last drink, my girlfriend comes in, she shakes me and tries to get me up, but I never got up. We live on the cusp of death thinking that it won't be us. And so he's like, listen, this is not just my grandmother. This could be any of us. So he's taking that message of like my grandmother passed away from smoking cigarettes, and she had experienced something far worse than death, which is like living to an old age and not having any of the goodness or beauty of life in her memories. And you're like, sheesh, this is not just an expression for him, this is also a message to us. So when you see all those things combined, he has the musicality, he has the diversity, he combines it with his expression. Those two things are clearly used. He needs freestyle to create what it is that he's doing in order for him to create the choreography that is as complex as what we just saw in the video. All those things are beautiful things. And then he wraps them up, does it in a way that only he can do because he knew his grandmother in a way that we will never know. And then he takes the sorrow that he's feeling, injects it into the choreography, and then makes it and puts it to a song that makes it a message for us. He's hitting all these different things. Great dancers are combining themselves with their dancing. They don't separate them. You don't have to discover your identity. You can learn and train in your identity, and you have something to say that we need to hear. So it's a beautiful piece. I'm gonna give the full video in the description, so you can watch it without my commentary. You can just watch it all the way through. I suggest watching it at least twice. Now that we've gone through this video, watch it once just to absorb, then watch it a second time to break it down, then watch it a third time to absorb knowing what's going on technically. Yeah, great choreographer. So yeah, that's our video for today, and then we're gonna start continuing adding on more dancers, from old videos, new videos, and everywhere in between. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope that gave you some kind of vocabulary. Again, don't disconnect the complexity from the emotion. You can be a technical dancer, but you also are a human who has deep emotions. So combine them, and that, I would say, if I can be so bold, puts you in the category of a great dancer. So hope you enjoy it. So we have combining musicality and expression, right? We have pauses and stillness are just as important in dance as movement and complexity. The fact that we shouldn't separate complexity from emotion, because that's where we see really great choreography blossom. It's not just complex, and it's not just emotional. I said that in the video. The point is, there's actually this concept that I watched. I was part of an online program that had different dancers talking about different stuff. One of them was Phillip Chbeeb, and he basically was talking about designing movement, right? Which is just choreography. It's just a more artistic way of saying it. The point is, he has this concept that he talks about in his talk, his masterclass, whatever, that when he makes choreography, he feeds the animal and the human, right? So the animal is something that is people, when you're watching something that's like keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it's like tension, and then it's like dopamine, and you're like, what's gonna happen next? Like, he's talking about like bouncing on a ladder, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, is he gonna fall off and die, right? But then you combine that with storytelling and meaning and significance. So him balancing on top of the ladder is him trying to keep the success in his life. And then when you connect those two things, you're like, oh man, it's not just adrenaline rushing. It's also significant and meaningful in a way that I, as a human being, can understand and empathize with emotionally. So he's like, combine those two things are one of the biggest things that I do when it comes to making choreography. And I thought that was beautiful. So even now, today, I think of like feeding the animal and feeding the human. Anyways, this is his Instagram. He has a bunch of really cool stuff, a bunch of really weird stuff, a bunch of really thought-provoking stuff. Like I said, complexity is his whole jam. He also got really big into video editing. So when you see his different stuff, anyways, he uses it in a very creative way, especially when it comes to dancing. I would suggest, if you don't follow him, you don't have to follow him. I would just say, look at his stuff to understand where this video came from. This video is like 13 years old. And you're like, where did that evolve into? So when it comes to Being Hunter Dance as a concept, the whole idea is to search for your identity, right? It's a fingerprint with the crosshairs in it. Like, we're searching and hunting for our identity. and you have to break down the things that you can do with who you are as a person. That's a necessity, I would say. Anyways, the video that I just showed is in the show notes. Do what I told you to do in the reaction video, and apply it for yourself. Don't imitate it. We're just applying. We're just getting inspiration so that the things that I can do, if I never am able to do the things he's able to do, that's not the point. The fact is, I'm combining my movement with something that's significant to me, and that will impact people regardless. But then you take a step further and you message it towards them, right? I could say something and feel the emotion, and you can be like, wow, that was really an emotional piece. But if I then take that emotion and I push it towards you, now you have to do something with it. And the idea behind this talk show, behind Behind Her Dance, behind my dancing, behind your dancing, is to connect with people and connect as our true selves to someone else's true self, instead of like this veneer of like, this is who I am on social media. Social media isn't real. Okay? It's not, right? So we can be, as dancers, the realest parts of ourselves in our art, which is dancing. Okay, so check out BehindHerDance.com as well as Behind Her Dance on Instagram. Maybe Monday, maybe next week, Wednesday, we'll figure it out. I'm applying, or I'm uploading the POV curriculum, the book that I have, onto a platform that you can purchase it and you can actually read the book, which is about all of this stuff. I'll reiterate it next time, but keep an eye out for that. It's all in my Substack, which is also in the link. Everything is in the show notes. Everything is in the bio. Okay, check it out. Also, if you're listening to this, you should probably, and you're at this point in the video, you probably didn't understand anything I just said. So make sure you watch the video later. If you're driving, don't do that. Be safe and have a great day.